Welcome to the Bearded Finisher Podcast, your one-stop show for all things finishing and coatings. Your host, Zach, and a variety of industry experts will guide you through the art of perfecting your finishing and business game. From seasoned pros to fresh faces, get ready for tips, tricks, and trends to elevate your knowledge and business to the next level.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to be talking to Patrick Mosca. What's going on, Patrick?
How's it going, Zach? How you doing?
I'm doing great. For those of you out there that don't know Patrick, he is the man behind Sureline Finishes on social media and Capium Drums, which is a custom. Is it all type of drums, like drum sets, or just any one particular type?
It's a style of drum. It's a stave drum, so they're kind of built like wine barrels. It's instead of layers of plywood glued together, it's staves, like angled pieces of wood to make a multi-sided object, and then you cut it on like a lathe style tool to make it into a solid wood drum instead of plywood.
That is crazy. So, I mean, real quick, where are you at, Patrick? Where are you guys located?
We're in Wilmington, North Carolina, and like right on the coast, southern North Carolina.
That's pretty good. So you're over on the East Coast, and how old are you?
I'm 37.
37. How long have you been doing the drums?
The drums, building the drums, I've been building them for probably about a year now. I started my first one for myself about a year ago. And that took a long process. Making the jig for it took a process too. But I've been drumming since I was 10 years old. So drums have been a part of my life for the majority of my life.
When I was in high school, I worked for a production company. We did tours and I DJ'd dances and did lighting and sound. And the guy who owned the company, and I don't know why I remember this, but awesome guy. He was also in a band, and he was a crazy drummer. I mean, insane. But he had always had his eye, and he finally bought years down the road, but I don't know why I've never forgotten this. It's because the name, it was a custom drum set, and they were pork pie drums.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, just the fact that they were called pork pie, but I mean, he used to just rave about the custom drums. Are they still around?
Yeah, pork pie's still around. They're kind of like not one of the few brands that everybody knows about, but your typical brands are Pearl, DW, and Tama. I was a Tama guy growing up, and I mean, I can just get into it now with getting into making drums. I had an electric set for, well, let's go back all the way. So I played acoustic from when I was 10 till about 2016, I'd say, so almost 30. I went to electric just because I was moved in with my now wife, and she didn't want to hear the drums as much, so I got electric, and it was great. And then some pieces started to go on it, like one of my PA speakers went, then my bass drum trigger went, and then part of the brain for one of the inputs went. And I was just like, you know what? Like, instead of putting money into this, let me look at an acoustic set again. Because nowadays, I only play when nobody else is home. Like, I have 2 kids now, and like, they don't want to hear it either. So I was like, let me see what the drum set I used to have would cost nowadays. And I mean, it was astronomical compared to when I bought it. And I was like, shit, for that, I could probably build my own. And I was like YouTubing how to make drums and everything. And YouTube's where I learn everything. And I stumbled on stave drums. And I was like, well, this is really cool. I have tons of scrap wood in the shop. And then the jigs these people make to cut them, like from the 20-sided object of a snare to a round surface. Like, I was just like, that fascinated me, just the jig alone. And I was like, let me try and make one. If it turns out nice, I'll have myself a snare, and that'd be nice, and see where I go from there. Maybe make myself a set. And I made my first jig, and I was having a blast. Like, I didn't even want to do my day job. I just wanted to make this jig. And then I was just like fine tuning the process. And that first snare took about a month just because I was learning everything. And I just like fell in love instantly. So then I was just like, I want to make more drums, but like I can't flood my house with them. So maybe, and like hardware costs a lot of money. So I was like, let me see if I could sell them to people. And as soon as I threw that out, people were like, I'd buy one. I'd buy one. So KPM drums was started then, which
That is
there's
crazy.
There's a lot of drum manufacturers out there that use initials. And my wife's name is Kelly. So it's a sound out or written out version of how our initials sound. So KPM. And then like when I spelled it out, I was like, it kind of looks like an exotic wood. So maybe I'll just run with it and see what happens. And it caught on pretty good. So, but some people do butcher it. So when you said it in the story, I was like, my guy, he got it.
Yes. Well, let's take it back. Let's kind of go back a little bit. Like, where'd you grow up at?
So I grew up in a small town in New Jersey called West Milford. I mean, it's small as far as like the density of it. But I mean, geographically, it's massive. Like you could drive once and to the other in 40 minutes, but there's like such a lower population of people than the rest of that area of New Jersey. And my wife and I bought our first house up in New Jersey, and we woke up one morning and we were like, I kind of want to live near the beach. Like I want to stop living in this rat race and move down the shore. I had a brother already living in Florida. I have two older brothers. One's in Florida, the other one's in Jersey still. And we took a trip to North Carolina a few years prior at Raleigh, and we just loved the feel of it. So we like checked out online from, I think, Outer Banks to Myrtle Beach, checked out school systems because we wanted to have kids later on. And we just like picked Wilmington, and we took a trip down, loved it for the long weekend. And we took another trip down a few months later, put a deposit on a lot and started building a house. It was
that's crazy. So
wild. Yeah.
You in New Jersey, where at New Jersey where'd you grow up? It's like northeast,
like northern,
northern,
almost New York. Yeah.
And then I'm saying, so you went to high school in New Jersey?
Mm-hmm. We moved down here in 2018.
2018. Okay. So what about college? Did you do college, or did you go straight into the trades?
I went straight into the trades. I was a mechanic before this. I was a BMW dealership mechanic for 13 years. So right out of high school, I went to Universal Technical Institute for automotive technology. And right after that, at 19, started working at the BMW dealer. And, it was a tough job,
I bet that would be rough.
Like I say all the time now, like my worst day building cabinets or drums or anything is still better than one of my better days as a mechanic. It's just, that's a rough profession, man, especially nowadays with all these high-tech cars.
So what about your wife? Did you guys go to school together, high school sweethearts, or did you guys meet later on?
We met later on. I was in a few bands growing up, and I was in one band for about 6 years and met her through one of the band members. And just hit it off from our first date, and the rest is history. We got 2 little girls now, and it's the best part of my life.
Man, I got 2 kids myself. I got a son and a daughter, and dude, it's ridiculous. I don't know how you do it with 2 girls. Like my daughter is spoiled rotten.
They are
like
spoiled. Yeah.
My wife's just like, this is ridiculous. You're gonna have to learn how to punish her. And I was like, probably not. I mean, I'll try.
Yeah, you punish them, and then you're like, listen, I'm sorry. I have to like crack the whip sometimes. Yeah.
And they come crawl up in your lap and just bury their head in your chest, and you're like,
yeah,
all right.
Oh, man, I didn't mean it. You can have it. That's fine.
Oh, my son's 7 and my daughter's 4, and my son he's like, you treat, my daughter's name is Zoe. He's like, you treat Zoe different than me. And I'm like, yes, I will 100% say yes, that happens, and that's going to happen for the rest of your life. Get used to women being treated differently. Like, it's just a part of the real world. You're a dude, you're going to have to take care of a family. The sooner you get used to that, and the sooner that you know that your sister's going to get away with stuff that you don't, your life's going to be a lot easier. Just accept it.
Yeah, we didn't find out the gender of the first one until the day she was born. And then like I have anxiety through the roof, and like that was like, wow, I have no idea what's coming. Like I I have like feelings both ways. And the second one, we found out the gender well before, because I was like, I'm not doing that again.
That sounds way too
And
stressful for me.
part of me was like, I'd love to have a son because, like kind of have them fall into my footsteps down the road maybe. But then like, I was just like, I love being a girl dad so much that I really hope this second one's a girl in it. And it was. And I was like, it just like, it felt so good. It's also too, you don't have to relearn this, like a whole new thing,
It's nuts at how, I mean, I can imagine with two girls, it's probably just as bad, but just how different kids can be.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're total opposites.
You come out of the same person, but you're just like worlds apart. It's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like my older one is like a mini me. I mean, I got her into cars, I got her into music, and she loves coming to the shop and building stuff. So like, she's great with a hammer, which is very, like, she's been good. But my old shop, I had a garage shop for the first 4 years in business. And it was the best. They'd come home, she'd help me vacuum, whatever. And then like, if my wife needed a couple minutes to do something, it's like, yeah, just take this hammer. Like I would just have a scrap piece of wood with some nails in it, start them, and she'd just hammer them down. And I was like, at like 2 years old, I was like, this is very impressive. And then as she kept getting older, it's amazing.
How old is
I have
your
a brother
oldest?
that's like, well, my oldest is 5.
Okay.
I was gonna say, meanwhile, my middle brother, he can't like turn a screwdriver. Love him, but he's that trait. My oldest brother and me, we're like the same, but the middle brother, he lost all those. All those traits.
Like my
are
son, when I had my company in Oklahoma, my son would always come to the shop with me, and I had my guys that were there working, painting and stuff. And man, they just loved it when he would come to work with me for the day. They had wood set aside specifically. They'd take him over to the booth. They had a mask for him. They would give him the spray gun. It was like all work stopped when Axton, is my son's name, came to the shop, and they were like, come on. And they let him, they'd have screw guns and screws and wood, give him a gun, let him run a Kremlin and spray wood. He was doing every bit of it. And I've got videos when he was little bitty, because when he'd go to work with me, my son's got this, he loves to dress for the occasion. So whatever we're doing, he has to dress for it. Like it's gotten a little better. When he was younger, we'd be going to Home Depot and he would have to put his orange vest on every time we went to Home Depot. Hard hat, orange vest. If you're going to, you're going outside, or all right, we're going to here. This is cowboy place. I'm gonna dress like a cowboy. Cowboy hat, boots, still does it to this day. But every time we go to the shop, he wanted to wear, because I always wear collared shirts. He's like, I got to wear my collared shirt and my hard hat so nothing falls on my head, Dad. Every time. So, all right, let's say we're in the auto industry for 13 years. So you transitioned from that into, was it woodworking and building cabinets? Is that where you went from there?
No, it's been a journey.
Okay. So what'd you do after that?
So while I was a mechanic living up in New Jersey, we bought a house from the 50s, needed updating. My dad, he's painted as a side business. He was a paid fireman. So they work like 24 hours on, 72 off. So his 72 off were painting houses. So I learned painting from him. And we did like a little bit of trim work and stuff in that house. We gutted him and his buddies, gutted our kitchen. Like we remodeled the whole house. So like I at least got to experience what the like construction aspect of a home is. And like, I am very, I would say, mechanically inclined and like understand how things work. So once I saw like how things are put together and everything, it kind of like all clicked. And then we moved down to North Carolina, and we bought a building.
And what year was this? When did you move to North Carolina?
2018.
Okay, that's right. 2018. Okay.
Yeah. We bought like a builder grade home. I thought of it as like a blank canvas, do your own touch to it. The mechanic life was wearing on me. It was a lot of hours, a lot of days. And I will say like that, like the mechanic job is kind of like a thankless job to the consumer. Like being like, I would work on like the high voltage cars, convertibles, electrical issues, all that stuff. And like your coworkers love you and they thank you for that. But like if somebody's car was in the shop for multiple days because somebody couldn't figure out how to fix it, or it's just an elaborate repair, they're just like, I'm just angry my car was out of my hands for multiple days. So it's like you don't even really get that much of a thank you from the person. Meanwhile, you like went crazy trying to fix their car. And that always bothered me.
You don't really get to face the customers. I mean, you got the service advisor you're kitchen the shit from the service advisor, I guess, when its schedule's not going great. But I'm sure the praise, human nature, the praise probably isn't always when it gets done. The praise never makes it back to the floor.
Yeah, it never makes it back to us. Like, or if they'll call like a week later, oh, thanks for fixing my car, by the way. And by that time, like, I was one of those guys, like, we just got one headache car after the other, and it was rough. And so it was wearing on me for the last few years doing it. And I was like, when we moved down, it's like, I need a paycheck. So, if I want to do something else in life, let me at least get this job, see if I like it more, see if I like it less. And soon after moving, I was like, I like it less. Like, I don't know. It's just the type of brake. Like, I was used to cars braking a certain way up north. Like, you don't think, like, we're 600 miles south, but like the sun beats on cars so much more. So you're doing like more of like wear items for interiors, like your panels get like glue, like weird stuff, your convertible tops, like the materials deteriorate. So like I'm doing the canvases of a convertible top, not just like the electrical or like cable parts of it. And those were nightmares. So, my wife laughs at me all the time. She's been like, you going to tell them that you shiplap one wall in the house and said that's what you want to do for a living? And that's exactly what it was. Like we had a kitchen and an eat-in area next to it. And I was like, let me just shiplap the back wall. I did that. And I was like, this is kind of fun. And like, I am particular. I am like crazy compared to a lot of people with how I need things to be done. So I was like, let me do our kitchen island next. And then like people would come over. We met people through the neighborhood that we moved into, and everybody was complimenting it. And they're like, you should do this for a living, because the construction industry in here was lacking people with like ideas and character. And it was just like an easy entry kind of for me. And I was just like, well, let me see what I can get for like, I got to be able to pay for a living at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
And so when I first started, I was like, well, I know how to paint. My dad taught me how to paint. So the first thing I did was interior painting, and then like minor trim, like somebody needed the baseboards replaced or something like that, or add wainscoting or something. Like I did that. And then once I introduced more of the trim work, I kind of shifted from heavily painting and a little bit of trim work to more trim work, less painting. And then I got my first built-in job. And it was just like flanking a fireplace, cabinet on the bottom, shelves above. And I did it, and I was just like, this is even better, and like it was kind of like I want more of this. And so like it kind of developed from painting to trim work to cabinetry. And then I kind of liked doing mini remodels. Like if somebody wanted a fireplace, I do like painting the room and crown around the room and all this stuff to try and make it feel like a new room. I did like wood plank ceilings and stuff. And then the trim work kind of started to fade when I got older, and like, I had our second kid now, and it's like I want to be home more, and like the labor of like holding 12-foot boards over your head, to plank them on a ceiling like they're tongue and groove, and like you're just cursing at yourself, rubber mallet hammering this board into place. And it's like, why did I do this to myself? And hoping to God the pole jack on the other side doesn't slide. And I was just like, like there's got to be a better way. And then I moved out of my garage shop into what's now my new shop. And I mean, they called a 2-car garage that I had. It like a new build 2-car, like 20 by 20,
1.5,
not even, 1.5. And it's like 9.5-foot ceilings, like you're not doing very much in there. And like, I mean, I could only do small projects because they would like, I remember I'd have dozens of drawer boxes piled on my dining room table, or like if I'd be like spraying a set of doors and then like open up the garage door, like lay them on like these little paint holder, the little stands for objects when you're painting.
Oh, those little paint triangles.
Yeah, little triangles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's got to be a better way. So then when I got the shop, I mean, it's still not massive, but it's so much better. And now I could take on bigger projects. And then I kind of like since then phased more to cabinetry because like I'm paying for the shop and I kind of enjoy going to the same place every day. You know, it's like my home away from home. And, you know, like nowadays doing the cabinetry, it's great. Like I'd spend maybe 2 to 4 weeks in the shop building something. And then I'm at somebody's house for 2 to 3 days. And that's it. You know, my commute is known. You know, sometimes my commute, I don't go above an hour really of a drive, but you know, when it would be like a trim job for like 2 weeks and painting it like an hour plus or about an hour each way really like ruins your day in comparison to like the next week you could be in the shop. So it's like, I would never know what time I'd be coming home because I want to get to a certain step every day. Like I kind of don't punch out at 5. It's like, I got to get this done. Like if I got to do a glue up, it's going to glue or it'll dry overnight. If I'm going to, you know, paint something, I got like right now I'm painting doors and drawer fronts. Like I want to get the one side done today so that it could dry overnight and do the other side tomorrow. And it's kind of like, you know, however long that takes me.
I call that I'm trying to remember where I heard it, but I call that the milestone mindset. You've got a certain milestone in your head that you want to achieve before you're done for the day. Doesn't matter. Time is irrelevant. I got to achieve this milestone. And then tomorrow, this milestone. Your day is judged by your projects and days are judged by milestone completions versus how many hours you put in for the day.
Yeah. And like, I get like really time management crazy too. Cause like as a mechanic, you're paid by the 10th of an hour. So by the 6 minutes. So like, I'm in my head, like, how long is this going to take me? And like, I can break it down and it's like scary some days. Like I do what I call a target day at the end of every project. It's like you go to Target, everything's like $10, but you buy 30 things. You're like, how did this become $300? Same thing. My target day is like, I have 20 tasks. It's like the punch list day for most people. And it's like a bunch of things that take like 5 to 10 minutes, but it equates to an entire day. And so what I do is I'll like open up my Apple Notes, which has like everything broken down into it, like every step. And like I have the little toggle circle thing that you can, when you're done with that task, you can highlight it. But it'll have like 0.5 hours, 0.3 hours. Like it's like, and it's, dude, it's on, man. It's like, I was like, I'll probably be done around like 4:30 today. And then it's like, I'm like cleaning up at 4 and I'm like, I'm going to leave here at like 4:30 today. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, that's a unique approach in like the painting and carpentry world, because like, I mean, in the cabinetry and even the painting world from when I had my business, it's, you know, oh, that'll probably take 15 minutes. That's an hour. That'll take right. 5 minutes. That's an hour.
Yeah. It doesn't always work that way. Yeah.
How many hours is this job going to take? And they're like 4.5. No, 5. Go ahead and add 2 more just in case. So we're just going to say 6.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife makes fun of me all the time. She's always like, because there's those days where it's like, I'm totally off, dude. It's like, yeah, it's going to take me like 4 hours. It's like, I'm there like 9-10 hours. I'm like, what happened today? Like, it's wild. There's no in between. There's no middle ground, you know?
My wife would say that's me all the time. I mean, even more so when I'm with one of my best friends since the 3rd grade. She's just like, you have zero concept of time. I'm like, I have concept of time. She's like, no, you don't. You say you're going to be home at 6. I know if you're with Zach, that's my best friend's name, you know, 3rd grade, we had to be best friends, both named Zach. She'd be like, I'll see you at 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
when I'm hanging out with somebody, There's no concept. It's like, when I remember to look, I mean, years ago going out, my best friend is also named Zach. And we would go to the bar we worked at nights. And like, I'd look at my phone and be like, all right, it's 10 o'clock. I'll stay a little bit longer. The next time I look at it, it's like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'm like, what happened? You know, like, it's just wild. The time would just disappear. But like work stuff, I mean, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I would say work stuff. Like I do set on the daily, have an alarm that goes off at like 4:30, just so I know like, hey, it's 4:30. You know, that doesn't mean I'm
that's
leaving.
Good.
But, like,
that's a good idea.
I have like some sort of concept because I don't take lunch. I like to just go through it, I'm very efficient. people say I'm fast. I'm not fast. If you watch me work, I do not rush around. But it's just like I'm there to work. I don't get paid to sit around. So like I'm just like constantly just going through the processes. And years of developing these processes. Like it's just very efficient. And so like if I'm like just going and going and going, I got music playing or podcast playing. It's just like I could easily lose track of time. I have a massive clock in my shop that's like this tall with the numbers, and I barely ever pay attention to it.
I mean, I'm like that. If I was in the shop and I'm working on some samples for a customer and put your headphones in, or there towards the end, I installed like 4 massive, like, concert hall speakers in there, and I'd go in the office and, turn on my music because the, exhaust fans are all going and everything. So you crank that music up. I'm just going to go work for a couple hours. 8 hours later, you go look at your phone. There's like 12 missed texts. You're like, shit.
Yeah. And like my office where I'm at now, like there's a front door with glass on both sides. Like I could tell when it's not daylight out anymore. The shop, there's no windows. So it's like, whether it's 12 o'clock or 5 o'clock or 6, 7, 8 o'clock, like I have no idea, there's no sense of time in the dungeon of the shop,
Yeah. When you get in those, our shop had, 0. Now that I'm thinking about it, we had 2 overhead doors and 2 entry doors, and it was a steel frame 60 by 40 metal building. There was not one thing for you to know what the hell was going on outside. That's crazy. Yeah, I never thought about that. You can lose it quick. So that's Sureline, right? Sureline Finishes. That's where you're doing all the cabinetry and finished carpentry and the painting.
Yes. They're both in the same shop. I like gave a little section to my drum jig that I use now. And then it's kind of like the same tools. I mean, I use my table saw for the drums. I use my miter saw, my crosscut sleds, router table. It's really the only thing I had to do was make a jig for cutting the drum into a round shape. And that was, again, like the most fun. I think I just like solving problems, really. Like my favorite clients are the ones that are like, I don't know what to do with this space. And it's like the gears start turning. So then like with the drums, it was like a lot of people online do a jig for cutting the outside and then a separate one for cutting the inside. And there was one guy on Instagram, I won't throw his name out, but he's an engineer, and he like CNC'd himself a jig that did both. And I was just like, this is insane, but I don't have a CNC, nor am I an engineer, but I do love math and drawing stuff out and figuring, like, problem solving. And so like I made like a simpler version with his concepts for my first jig. And like as a trim carpenter, I made it as small as I possibly could, and then like I tried to do a bass drum on it. And because I wanted to be able to make everything from a 10-inch tom or snare to a 24-inch bass. And like depths from 8 inches to 22 inches. So like 22-inch bass, I gave myself maybe 24 inches from wall to wall. And, as I'm making this bass, I'm like cursing myself. Like, why do I do this to myself? Like it's insanity. Like the effort I have to put in to make this thing work. And it ended up being too weak of a structure anyway. And it was out of tolerance from one end to the other. And so I was like, all right, I got to scrap this thing. So then I made another one, with new ideas that I had from day one after I finished mine. Cause it's like, I made the second jig. It works great. But in my head, I'm already working at like 3.0. Like, what can I do for the next time?
How can you make it better?
In case this drum business takes off and I got to do more of a production base, like how can I automate everything? Like if my exterior cutting is already almost automated, but interior would be like the next hurdle.
So as far as like Sureline versus KPM, how much are you spending on each business? Like is KPM slowly starting to creep in and take over?
It was a lot. KPM was a lot in the beginning because like I had to get stuff out there, like I have all these ideas. I'm trying to get some traction online. Like nobody's going to spend hundreds of dollars on a drum from a company nobody's ever heard of. And like this guy's just like playing with wood in the shop, like, So I was like, I need to put out a lot of inventory kind of, and like I had a couple people that were instantly interested, which really helped. But so that took up a lot of time in the beginning. I wanted to allot myself half of a Friday each week, and like kind of keep it around there.
That came and turned into a whole Friday.
So that came and turned into a
and
whole
then
Friday.
a Thursday.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's like also too like if I am in the middle of like a cabinet top glue up for a draw or for a project for a Sureline, I'll go ahead and maybe while that's drying, I'll do like a glue up of a drum or something like that, or cut the wood into staves, mill something, kind of like knock that out so that half day Friday would be more efficient. But then like it kind of just took its own turn. Like I couldn't plan it almost. Like it's just like as I had time, I kind of built it because then I wanted to time the drums so that I'd be at the finishing stage when I'd be painting a Sureline project. So like while the first coat of my boxes or my doors are drying, I'm going and I'm laying the sealer on the drum. And then like, cause those would be, it's about 3 days of process for both. I have a priming day for the cabinetry, then a sanding day, and then a painting day. And sometimes the paint is 2 days. So like it's 3 to 4 days for that. So I figured I have a sealer day, a filler day, and then a clear coat day for the drums. So they kind of like, I could just do them all at the same time. And like each thing needs to dry a certain amount of hours. And so I just got myself a second sprayer and, kind of just went with it. And now like, I was always afraid of the 2K products. Like you have guys on here that are very educated and very great at what they do with so like I heard like the intro of like the best paint. I was like, I got a Magnum X7 in my shop, but it's
that's all right.
And I was afraid of like 2K products because like I don't want to waste like a ton of product having to feed it through that line for an airless gun. So I got an Apollo turbine sprayer, and it works great. I had my favorite sprayer I probably had was you recommended to me back when you were doing Davis painting, the Titan ED655.
Still the best pump ever made.
That was great, man. But something went on it. I think the pump started to like weaken. I didn't maintain it very well back in those years, and I tried rebuilding it. And I thought, like a mechanic, I could figure this out. No, I couldn't figure it out. Like I put it back together and it was never the same. I was just like, I had to scrap it. And I was like, well, I need to paint this thing today. So
the great thing about those, I mean, they're fairly simple. I've took ours apart, multiple ones we had, but I think those pumps on those diaphragms do lose their intensity, and then they just can't pressure up, even if you replace the diaphragm. But still, what I liked about them is you could still pick a brand new one up for $1,200, compared to, I mean, Apollo makes great products, but you're spending $7,000, Tritech makes great products.
Yeah. They're a ton too. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, their pumps are expensive. I mean, I'd probably say the best thing that we ever did in our shop was just say F it. I mean, we still had Kremlins but I think probably what got used 90% of the time was our gravity fed cup guns. We had 180 gallon tank compressor back in the back outside that was just running, had dryer on it. And that ended up being the majority of what we used when it finally came down to it. If we had a big project, they would mix up 3, 4, 5 gallons and throw it in the Kremlin. But typically they were using the cup gun.
Yeah. Nice. I entertained that. Like I wanted to do the large compressor, but I can only do one more 220 in my shop. And right now I have it for I split it for my table saw and my jointer. I can only do one more, and I kind of want to do like a better dust collection. And like, I was just like, I paint things maybe 2 to 3 days a month. I use dust collection every day. It's like, if I got one more spot, that's really where I had to go. And I looked at like the LVLPs for if I did like a regular compressor. And I was just like, I don't want to buy a whole setup and then realize I don't have enough pressure.
Yeah. I mean, then in that case, if your power requirements, your best bet is sticking with the Apollo. It's a little tricky to learn, but once you once you break that learning curve, it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm still learning the. I use 100 sheen gloss from Ecro for the drums, and like I have everything else dialed in. My 1K fillers, my 1K 10 sheen. They're coming out with a 90 sheen, so I might use that instead. But like all my 1Ks and the processes before, I've dialed in perfect. That 100 sheen, no matter what I do, man, it's just like it spits a little bit, and I don't think it's supposed to. I don't know. Everything else sprays different, and like I've dialed my flow and everything, and the controller and
the viscosity,
still, like,
gotten it down.
Yeah, the viscosity. Yeah, and it's just like one of those. I mean, this is one of those where I'm saying like it's just me. Like you have these fantastic finishers on your podcast, and like there's me. Like I'm trying to figure this out, like just through trial and error. Like trying to like I have a bunch of scrap pieces, and I'm just like a little bit at a time. Trying to get the right atomization and the right spray pattern. And it's like, I think I got it. And then I spray it on the drum, and it goes from like if I'm spraying MDF or a piece of scrap plywood, it's one thing. You can only see so much. Then I spray it on like blue drum I did. And it's like, whoa, that was a lot worse than I thought. I kind of need something like a little bit better to display a clear, I guess, to see my spray patterns a little better. And I'm always trying to get better. So like, I'm never satisfied a year later with what I did a year ago. So it's
but that's the thing that I tell people about coatings. It's like all the time. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have every product dialed in and spraying them perfect. Tomorrow, the weather changes a little bit, solvent, and your ratio's changing. I mean, the environment is always going to dictate your coating. You'll never have it down. I don't know any finisher that has the perfect, I don't know if you're talking to Adam or Colby or Chade, any of these guys that are doing a lot of high gloss, even Zach Kenny, doesn't matter. They're going to tell you what I use today the mixture I use today won't be the mixture I use tomorrow, because your environment dictates it so much. And then gloss is just, I mean, I love doing gloss, but man, it's an ass whooping. And I mean, I see all these people that post off the gun, and I'm just like, off the gun's great. But in my opinion, you have to polish it. You have to cut and polish it. It's the only way you're going to get that true depth of color finish. You'll always, if you don't polish it, it'll look good. Like, you'll see stuff online that'll be like off the gun gloss with FPE or something like that. And you're like, oh man, that looks good. But I can guarantee you go look at that in person and you're going, oh shit. That's not what it looked like in the picture.
Yeah, right. I also too, like, I'm limited here. Like when I signed my lease, it was like, you can't spray solvents. And I'm like, okay. Like at the time, like I was spraying like Bend Command and like I forget what primer I was even using then. And I was like, all right. So I think it was a Smart primer.
1, 2, 3.
And so like, no, it was like a blue and yellow can. I think it was just called, it was something Smart primer. It might be.
I think there is a Smart prime.
But I mean, like, it was just such basic stuff. And so, like, I mean, I see all the people spraying like polyesters and stuff, and I'm like, it looks beautiful. And then they clear over with the solvent based stuff. And it's like, I can't do it. So like this 100 sheen I spray, I mean, it looks great. Not off the gun though. Like water, you said, I think at one point, like waterborne coatings don't look great off the gun. Just let them sit, for a little bit.
Leave it be 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was like so hard for me to learn in the beginning. And then I was just like, all right, just let the process happen. And then like you watch it level out, and it turns out great. But then, yeah, you got to cut and buff that thing. Yeah, otherwise it will not look.
So the
like
100 sheen that you're using is a water. It's like an acrylic water based.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. I mean,
impressive.
There's not many guys out there that are doing that high of a sheen in an acrylic. Most guys are doing an acrylic solvent. ICA's got an acrylic solvent.
Yeah.
Or just a true solvent to really get that high piano black finish. I mean,
it's some crazy stuff. You can't tell if it's wet or not. It's just, yeah. You better call Steph. I mean, that stuff's fantastic. Like I said, it's a little tricky out the gun. I don't know what it is. But But I'm also like, I don't have very good climate control in here. Like it's insulated like a barn. Like I have central air, but like I said, it's insulated horribly. And I have like one of those like bounce house blow up spray booths. Like it's nothing fancy going on back there. Um, and like I'm just trying to manage like the stagnant air with like some fans. So I have like some humidity, but not like a ton of air blowing around. And
I mean,
it's
but that's
just,
the glorious part about the gloss
mhm.
is you're gonna cut and buff it.
Yeah, yeah. You got wiggle room for error.
You've got a little room. You can have a dirt nib in there as long as it's on the top. You can have a little bit of that orange peel waviness. You're gonna polish it out. Like there's just it'll look great. I was just talking to Colby at Colby and Co. up in Mass, and he's talking about a project where they're doing gloss, and he uses the ICA. I can't remember what it is. It's a solvent. He only uses solvent, but he was like, I don't care what you do. Like it looks great off the gun, but there's something about ICA's gloss poly that just has a little bit of orange peely to it. I don't care how you spray it. I don't care what you reduce it. He goes, it doesn't matter. It just has a little bit of orange peel to it. You have to cut and polish it. Like, and then it's glass.
This does too. That's where like I see the other things I spray and they don't have the orange peel, like the 10 sheen or my sealers, any of that. They don't have the orange peel. I spray the 100 sheen and I get a little bit of orange peel. So like, is that normal? Is it not normal? Am I trying to fight something that I can't get at the end of the day?
The problem is it probably does have it. I mean, most of them have it, but you've those flattening agents that are in it, because every coating as its nature starts out shiny. That's the way the resin is designed. Unless they're manufacturing some sort of special resin that comes in a dull, almost all coatings start out glossy, and then they use flatteners and acrylic resins that bring the sheen down to get it to that matte sheen or the satin sheen, whatever it is. So those sheens help kind of fill that waviness so you don't notice it. But the absence of light makes it that much better. When you take something, and I mean, light reflection is the biggest pain in the ass to every painter in the world. And you just modify that times a million when you put 100 sheen product on top of, you're doing those dye stains that are showing the depth in those exotic woods that you're using. And you're just like, oh man, it's a battle.
Yeah. Yeah. That blue one, that's behind me now. That one, I mean, it would look beautiful. And it does look beautiful, but like you said, like you should see the depth of it. It shows every imperfection. So like, then I have like my shop is flooded with like LED above, and it's just like, I'm just constantly staring at this thing, looking for like the wave, the light to have like a wave in it. So I can like flatten it out. And like, it's just like, but like not go too far. Like it's such a tough, especially I think it's just tougher because it's a curved surface. So like I made like a stand for spraying them recently because I thought it was a great idea. It was built like a pyramid, and then it was on a 45-degree angle. The bearing edge of the drum, so like the inner surface goes on a 45 as you get towards the inner surface of it. So it would seat perfectly, wouldn't wobble. And I was spraying it, and you're doing vertical sprays on a drum while you're spinning it. And by the time I got back to the part I started from, it would be sagging on the bottom of the drum because I guess it just like the vertical hang. So I was just like, I that whole like pyramid thing that I designed kind of like was a flop. So now like I go back to, I made a jig that I used for face frames. So I on cabinets, I'll build my face frame. I won't attach them to the box until after they're painted. So like I have this rack, it's got a bunch of 7-foot dowels, and I can lay my face frames out on them flat so I can spray them, lay them on it. And so I use that now, and it has like, I think that's right over there. So I have 3 holes per row. And so I could do like a wide or a narrow. And so I'll take two posts, lay the drum on it so it's not swinging side to side, and I'll just spray it like that. And then this way I'm constantly rotating it. And then once I put it on the rack to rest, every 5 minutes, rotate it 180 degrees or 90 degrees, depending on where like the cloudiness is. If I have heavy cloudiness, I'm going to put that on the top so that it can kind of level out. If I leave that on the bottom, it's just going to pool and get nasty. And then I get like these drums, like the other one behind me, that's got the grooves, and like, you learn from doing doors, like you got to bevel that edge a little bit so it'll coat it and not just stand on it. And like even with that, I got to go easy, because if I put a little too much, it like waterfalls down. It's just like it's like such a battle with clears, man. It's like, why do I do this to myself? But then like when it's all done, you're like, it looks beautiful. So this is why
you're like, oh, that's why. Yeah, we did a table. One of the first gloss projects, I think it was the first gloss that we did. It was, I don't even know what the exotic wood was, but it was all inlaid together. There's a picture of it on my Instagram. It was like 8 foot in diameter, and it was a solid piece. So like the only way that this thing could roll or get around was it had to be like this. Had to be in an angle. He had the exact angle so it could go through a door. I don't remember, but it was too tall. If you tried to go straight through a door, and a man door, you couldn't do it. So you couldn't get it into the house. So he had to put it at an angle, and he built this rolling cart for it. And he rolled in that, and then it would spin on that cart, because when it was on that cart like that, he rolled it on a trailer, brought it over to us, but you couldn't reach the top. So you had to spin it. Dude, we used polyester and a BASF automotive high gloss clear on that table. And I mean, I've got videos of the guy spraying it. I don't have all the videos of the cursing and the pissed offness of my guys when we're trying to spray polyester on that thing. And I know polyester is not supposed to look pretty. You just want to build it 20 mils and then sand it flat. But man, I'm telling you, that thing, just that angle, man, it is just brutal. You could not get any hang on those clears.
Yeah. You'd have to make like if you ever has to do it again, like make it like on a pivot, I guess, like kind of, so like you spray it like this, and once you're done, you kind of like rotate it. Yeah.
That would have been genius. Oh man, it was brutal. I mean, it's still one of my favorite jobs, because it was gorgeous when it was done. You put it into the house, and man, it was just, and we used an automotive clear because it had UV inhibitors in there, because it was going right by a huge glass wall. And when that glass came out of it and hit that automotive clear, it almost looked like you've got tinted windows. And when the sun hits the tinted windows at the right angle, it just kind of that polarized look.
Yeah.
That's what the table looked like when it was done. Nice. And when it was sitting in and the sun was coming in, oh man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
You're like, all right, it was worth all the cursing,
Yeah, it was worth the pain in the ass, and you're looking at all of it, and you're like, okay, it was worth it. I mean, now it's worth it. I don't have to do it again. So
yeah, I'm also like my worst critic, man. I will like, I'm looking at everything from a foot away, whereas people usually see their house projects from a normal distance, like 10 feet away. So like I'm like critiquing every little bit of every project, and it like drives me nuts. And then like I get out of my shop where there's not LED lights beaming on these pieces, and I put it in their house. I'm like, I don't even know what I was worried about or complaining about. Like, it's just like, I get so crazy over so many small things. And I guess it helps, because like, if I'm that crazy before I install, my installs go, knock on wood, pretty smooth. It's just,
as finishers and cabinetry guys, when you get into that world, I think we are our own worst enemies. I mean, we're so picky about everything. And 90% of the time the customer doesn't notice that. I mean, there are the occasional customers that notice 100 things, but I've been into houses where I obsess over something when we're getting ready to deliver a job. And I'm just like, this is going to be horrible. This is going to have to come back. This is going to have to come back. I don't like it, but we got to go install so we can bring the doors back or says something, but we got to go out and do the install today. They may say 3 other things. Never say anything about what you are like laser focused on. They never see that. They're like, what about this? And you're like,
yeah, no, I try to not stare. That's the hardest part. Like if I put something up and I look at it, I acknowledge that there's something wrong with it in my head. They don't say anything. It's in my head. I'll fix it later. Because if they see me stare at it, they're going to stare at it. And in the same sense, like when I come in the morning, like after say I do an install the next day, I'll come in, we'll go over, what do you think, stuff like that. And like, I'll watch them to see if they stare at something or if they go back to something multiple times, because if they do, I can address it right then and there. Most likely I know what they're looking at. And like, even if I'm not like going to completely redo that area or something, maybe I'm just going to put a little filler there or something. I have acknowledged the thing that's bothering them. And that is all that they need most of the time. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like, hey, you made it. Thanks for fixing that up. It's like that. They just, if they're afraid to say, almost like they're afraid to say something, but if you catch them ahead of time, they appreciate it so much more. And, like that,
you're just validating their concern. Hey,
yeah,
you're not being an asshole. I get it. Let's fix it. I mean, that's huge to customers. That leads into that. What I tell people all the time, it's that customer experience level. I mean, you're giving them an experience that no one else is really willing to give them because they don't want them to say anything. You're bringing the elephant in the room out. Yeah. I mean,
meanwhile, they didn't notice the 10 other things that I noticed, it's like, all right, I'll take care of that. That's no problem. Like,
I'll take yours and leave mine.
Yeah. Right.
Well, so, I mean, before we jump off, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but how about, as an entrepreneur, having your own business, what's one of the hardest and best lessons that you've learned along your journey?
Man, do it right the first time. Not that I've ever done it wrong, but I've seen people do it wrong and then they have to redo it. And like, I know I'm my worst critic, like I've said. And if I see that I could have done something better, maybe I won't do it that right then and there, but I'll go home and it'll eat at me, dude. It'll eat at me till I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to do it. Cause then like, you don't want to go into like an install or anything, or you want to go further into a process knowing that you should have done something better, because it's just going to snowball, and like, there's enough people out there doing mediocre work. So if you want to go into this, for one, it's expensive. So don't try and do it all at once. I started with like, don't ever, like I tell people all the time, don't look at what I have today. Like I started with 2 sawhorses, a couple 2x4s, and not even a track saw. I had one of those, like, I don't even know the brand anymore. It's like gray and orange, I think Bora maybe. Like tracks that you would like clamp to both sides of the plywood with just a circ saw, rip it. Which the cheapest Craig jig, and you just build it slowly. And,
that's good advice.
Also don't kill yourself over it. Like one thing I even try to teach myself today is breathe, like if you can't install tomorrow and it'll carry into the next day, like breathe today. So you're not going crazy and potentially mess something up like even worse. When you try to rush things, something's bound to happen. You're not thinking clearly. You could trip. The last time I did that, I was like trying to get coatings done for the day. And I had some pieces painted black, some pieces painted white. And I was like trying to go quickly, clean up my spray gun. And I pulled the trigger too much into my waste bucket, and the white splattered on the underside of the black doors that were nearby. And I was just like, oh man, I was like, I knew I shouldn't have rushed. Like if I got home 30 minutes later, everything would have been fine. And now I got to go back tomorrow, sand it, start over, And so like to just learn to breathe. And like I said, you want to get to a certain point each day, that objective or task oriented, like do that, but don't like obsess over the clock, and just like make sure you do it right. Give yourself enough time to do it right. One guy told me early on, book 80% of your days, because things come up. And if you booked 100%, you're going to be working 7 days a week. And I don't want to do that. I work
some great advice.
Yeah. I work most weeks, Monday to Friday. Don't know what time I'm coming home, but Monday to Friday, I love spending time with my family on Saturday and Sundays. In the automotive industry, I had at least one every 3 Saturdays. I worked 8 to 4. And then like your weekend just goes away, and then you're back on Monday grinding away again. And so like, I want to make sure if I'm dealing with the headaches of being an entrepreneur, like I got to have my weekends to myself. I'm granted there's sometimes like I'll go in, I'll do a couple coats or something, but I'm not going to spend a day on a Saturday doing work stuff. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to spend the time with my family, because you don't know how much time you got. So
that's true. It's so true. I mean, that's great advice. I tell people all the time, that's why I never got into woodworking. That shit's just too expensive. I'll stick with painting and spray
Dude, the tools
guns.
are insane.
The CNCs and the miters and the Festool. I mean, God bless. I mean, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I'm a little. I'd say I'm different from a lot of the people in the woodworking industry, or like just construction in general. Like, it kind of hit me about a year ago. Like, I'm done buying into the rat race and like the money game. Kind of, like, I'm trading time for money at the end of the day. Like, what do I need to afford life? And that's what I'm going to do. Like, because otherwise, I'm just going to buy more expensive tools and like. I'd love to have a Festool Capex. I'd love to have that better dust collector and all these things. But then, like, what is it going to cost me a month? A few $100s each. So now, like, I'm adding at least a day a month of work. And it's like, I don't need it that bad. When my stuff breaks, then I'll do it. But
exactly. Does it, can you, like, my father-in-law was my mentor and he taught me number one rule in the painting world. And he was like, just in life, when you've got a job, can you do it with what you have? If the answer is no, then buy the tool you need to do the job.
Exactly.
But he's like, 95% of the time, the answer is yes, you can do it with what you have. So you don't need all that. Just do with what you have and move on.
And I was like, it's tough, dude, especially with social media now. You see people all the time and they got all the fancy tools and stuff like that. But then, like, you don't know what their life is outside of work or how long they've been doing it and all that. Like, do what you can, like, and you could do great work with, like, not big box store. I mean, I will say, if anybody is starting out, get yourself a nice sander. Like, I've spent so many extra hours with DeWalt sanders that, like, when I finally bought the Festool, I was like, this is life changing. Like, I just went, like, it was insane. So, like, there's certain things I would upgrade. And then the other big thing I did was the saw stop, because I was like, if my kids want to work with me, I don't want to have to worry about them losing a finger. So, like, I mean, they can still launch a piece of wood at their face, but, like, at least they're not going to cut anything off. And so, like, those were my two big purchases that really, like, set it for me. And then, like, it's, as you said, as you need it. I got a project that calls for a certain detail, I'll buy the tool for that detail, but, like, you build it into that job, and then you don't have to pay for it. When you learn and get good at using crappy tools, you get really good with the good tools, and, like, life just gets so much easier. Like, if you only if you learn off the fancy tools, and it's like, I've been using a Capex since day one, but now that breaks and you're on site, you're going to order a Capex and just twiddle your thumbs for the next few days. No, you get, like, your DeWalt's without the lights, and you kind of, you do with what you have, and you get the nicer things. And you're like, you're saving time, everything, like, the processes go smoother. And you appreciate it more, because you're like, at least I don't have to take this Bora clamp and clamp a piece of plywood and spend a day breaking down material, when now my saw stop with the large fence, I did a massive library last month, and I knocked out all the box pieces in one day, like maybe like 4 or 5 hours. That would have taken me a week probably, the way I started, but you got to reflect, you got to look back. Like, there's always somebody doing better or bigger things. Like, you got to look back and, like, remember not just where you started, but where were you a couple years ago? Look at your projects from then, and have you gotten better? If you've gotten better, then you're doing all right. In my
agreed, 100%. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
If you do a project and you're like, this is the best thing that I could do, or not that, if this is the best that can be done, you're hurting yourself, because you can always do better, I feel, and, like, I mean, like I said,
there's always something to learn. There's always something. I mean, once you stop learning in my opinion, once you stop learning in your profession is when you start losing.
Yeah. 100%.
You just can't make it past. I mean, you're done. You need to find another job. Once you decide, I've learned everything there is to learn. That's impossible. No one can do that. So what about, let's see here. Oh yeah. Final question. Then a statement. Yeah. So looking back, I mean, you're Patrick now, you're in your 30s, run into 19-year-old Patrick. What's a piece of advice you would give to him knowing what you know now? Personal, business, whatever.
I would say, even though today may be tough, it all works out in the end. Like I look back at those years and man, it feels like I'm watching somebody else's life. It's my being between the relationships, being a mechanic, all these things, like to see what I was then. Like you look at like Facebook memories and you're like, oh God, that was me. Like I had some tough times, as a lot of people do. And like, even on your toughest day, everything's going to work out and you'll be all right.
Well, it's like a buddy of mine said, a podcast that I listen to, and I've kind of got to know him a little bit. And it's like, I can't name a point in my life where going through something really effing hard, and at the time you were like, I'm done, I can't do it, there wasn't something better on the other side. You got to get through the hard stuff, and there's always something better on the other. It's not going to get worse. Like I mean, I guess it could theoretically, but in most cases, there's always something better. Get through the hardness. You got to go through what you got to go through, and on the other side, there'll be something to benefit out of it.
Yeah, I would say the hardest times, like your hardest moments, make your better futures. If I was to make like some sort of cliche line, like, like I think of the hardest moments of my life have shaped me into who I am today, and like kind of created the path. And then like, would I want to relive those? Absolutely not. They were the hardest days of my life, but they like I can smile today with, I just think at the end of the day, I just like to build cool things and get paid for it. And so like I'm building cabinets and drums and getting paid enough to have my, like a roof over my family's house. My wife works too. I can't take all the credit. But like to be able to just build cool things and live off it is pretty awesome. And I would not believe that at 19.
You wouldn't be working for someone. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. I would agree with that. Well, awesome, man. Well, Patrick, if you guys aren't following him, Sureline Finishes, KPM Drums, I'm going to have your links to all your social media down in the comments, the show notes there. But I need a favor from you. I need you to tell Jeff to quit being a turd and come on the show.
All right.
He's always like, oh man, I'm not interesting. I'm like, just come on the show.
I thought that too. I'm like, I'm one guy, like, and like kind of on the smaller size. And like, it's just like, I guess, but then I listen to your podcast. I'm like, there's a lot of relatable material that people say, I was like, okay. Maybe this will be good.
It's everything. I mean, there's some guy out there. I just had a guy reach out to me, in woodworking. He does like, what do you call it? The spinning, does like pins and lathe. He's a wood turner or something like that. So great kid. Actually, oddly enough, he used to come hang out at a bar that I used to bartend at before I met my wife in a whole nother life. And he's young, but he was like, dude, I don't know my head from my ass when it comes to finishing. He's like, will you do like I don't care if it's just you or have someone, just spend an hour on entry level finishing stuff we need, what it's supposed to look like, how much just entry level finishing. You're getting into finishing. Here's some stuff that you need to know. And I'm like, never would have thought to do an episode like that, but yeah, I'm sure we could put that together.
That'd be pretty cool. I literally learned from like looking at things. Like when I went to a class for the Ecro stuff, and like I was just like, I'm not going to be here long enough to watch this dry and everything, but what does it look like when it's wet on the board? This way I know in my head what it should look like. I don't have the Mills gauge or anything like that, but like I will remember exactly as it's supposed to look when it's on that board.
Yeah. I mean, before you and I got on, I had a guy, oh man, what was there? They were with I can't pronounce Flommer. They're a chemical manufacturer, but they make all the hardeners and the catalysts and the cross linkers, ISO hardeners. That's what they manufacture and then sell. And they were like, oh, dude, we won't be any good on the show. And I'm spent 10 minutes on the video chat with them. I'm like, dude, you guys don't even understand the amount of information that you have in your heads.
Yeah, right.
Tens of thousands of people are looking for. So got them talked into it. So I think here in a couple of weeks, we'll do another episode with them. But I'm like, dude, this is going to turn into like a 6-part episode. I mean, could do an hour on cross-linkers, an hour on ISO. I mean, it'll be crazy. But I mean, that's the stuff that I want to get out there to people that, you know, doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. You have something that can help someone else. You know, that's, and bridging that gap and hearing people's stories. Someone may be saying, dude, I'm just going to keep being a mechanic. I can't, you know, I can't start my own business. And they listen to this and go, well, okay, maybe I can.
Yeah, it's not easy. Don't try and have kids at the same time. I'll tell them that. Like I started my business and then we had our first kid. Like my wife got pregnant like 6 months later, not even. I was just like, yeah, I got this. It's all right. You know, we'll figure it out. You know, I would say do a little bit before then. It's a lot of stress.
No wonder. I mean, you're trying to hold a 12-foot piece of wood up while you got like, you know, negative 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, dude. It was some rough years, but I mean, it's all worth it. At the end of the day, you know, like this goes back to I'd get no thanks from working on the cars for days. Like every single client of mine praises, and like it makes that any headache I may have encountered throughout the whole process of that project makes it all worth it, dude. And like the reviews they give, they you know, throw my name out to other people. The amount of thanks you get for your efforts in this industry is just well worth it.
Agreed. That is awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show again. Everybody go follow Patrick.
It was a lot easier than I thought.
I told you it was going to be easy. It goes by quick, you know.
It did go by quick.
If you guys aren't following us on YouTube, make sure you follow, give us a like. Anywhere you hear podcasts, you can listen to us. Make sure you're subscribed. Every Monday, new episode. Next Monday, I think, is a great guy from Stop Loss Bags who created these little bags that you store paint in instead of cans. Really cool. But let's wrap it up here. Let you get back to your stuff, get back to the family. Again, thank you for coming on, and we'll see everybody next week.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Bearded Finisher Podcast. We thank everyone for joining. Keep hustling, keep learning, and never settle for anything less than your best. Remember, the path to perfection is a journey, not a destination. Until next time.